What's up, guys? Hope you are well. Welcome to another episode of Industry Changers podcast. And today's industry changer is Guneet. And this guy has changed the game when it comes to content, changed the game when it comes to changing lives of people in such a short span of time. All this while getting his business from zero to 12 lakh rupees a month. Total 12 lakhs नहीं कह रहा हूँ, multiple months का नहीं, single month 12 lakh rupees. And his last two quarters have been mostly over seven figures. And the best part, all this at the age of 23 years. And Guneet, welcome to the podcast, bro. So excited to discuss your journey.
Thanks, Yash. Thanks for having me. I'm super honored to be here and super excited to see how this goes.
So guys, I'm super excited for this. Format हमारा similar रहेगा as always. We'll discuss Guneet's journey, his life journey, what was happening in his life before business, when did he start his business, अब क्या चल रहा है, and a lot of cool stuff because he recently left his job to pursue this full time. And we'll discuss all steps. And, I have been lucky that way that, I've been able to witness his journey from day zero of his business. Literally, he started his fitness business with us at FBA. And that is what. So, Guneet, those who are new to this channel, could you please explain what your business is? And those who don't know you, what do you exactly do?
All right, so I'm Guneet. I'm an online coach, online fitness coach, and I primarily work with corporate professionals, people who are working a 9 to 5, often goes to a 9 to 9 for most people, 12-hour work days. But we help them transform their lives, whether it be their fitness, whether it be their health markers, and primarily just getting them into shape, into a lifestyle that they feel good having, they feel good waking up, they feel good when they're going to bed. So it's just overall a
Yes.
lifestyle based plan that we have, and we help them out by keeping them accountable, by giving them nutrition and training plans. So that's exactly what we do.
That is great. So generally, I wouldn't recommend this niche to anybody. मैं किसी को बोलता हूँ कि यार ये busy professional वाली niche ना रखो. So my question for you is, why is this your niche?
I think majorly because I got a chance to live that niche myself. Initially, when I started out, I was getting a lot of students and I was working with a lot of students
Mm,
because I was a student myself. And
mm.
as I moved to a corporate, life where I was also managing a business, I was extremely busy and taking care of my own health. That's where I realized that I could probably help people do the same, and they would look up to me as an authoritative figure for the same because I am actually living that life as an example. So that's why.
That is great. So, guys, lesson for each and every one of you that, if you have already lived that life, anything can be your niche. And, this is coming genuinely. Most people choose this niche because they think, yeah, okay, these people are making money. Okay, I'll choose them. But that's the wrong way. And what Guneet has done is the right way. And the coolest part, I'll tell each and every one of you the coolest part. Guneet was able to reach seven-figure months, that is more than 10 lakh rupees a month, while having his full-time job. So a lot of times, starting की stage में कोई किसी fitness business की starting चल रही होती है and people ask, यार, should I leave my job? My answer is generally no, do not do that. Because, people are reaching seven figures while having their full-time job, right? And Guneet, we'll get into your business journey. उससे पहले I want to understand how your early life was, how your childhood was. I do know that you're coming from a military background. So till the time you got into fitness, also tell me how you got into fitness and everything else. And coincidentally, we both of us used to work out at the same gym. Uh, and yes, sir.
Yep. So my family's been in the army since as far as I can remember. In fact, if I had gone into the army, fun fact, I would have been the seventh generation.
Mm,
And that means we would have probably gotten some record books
mm,
all over India, but I didn't really get a chance to do that. I simply
mm,
did not want to pursue the military line or the defense line. I got into NDA, but then I chose to go for engineering. And mind you, engineering was not something I was doing because I wanted to become a software engineer or anything. I just had a knack for subjects that were
mm,
scientific oriented, so I went with that.
mm,
And I think early life, basically, I've been moving around a lot. But dad being in the army, we've moved around a lot, 2, 3 years, stayed in one city. That made me actually very good at communication. I feel like it because I've got a chance to adjust to new cities multiple times. Plus, then I went to a boarding school for about 6 years, and I was
mm,
there for a long time. And During engineering is when I think I started fitness way before that. I started fitness because I was playing squash and I was doing boxing. So I
Mm,
got in shape from that, and I was a fat kid when I was getting started. So I'd always been overweight. I would say we would call it healthy in the
mm, mm,
family. I had to come around and
mm,
change that notion. I was bullied in school. I was in a boarding school, so I was bullied because of my body weight and body fat as well. And moving forward, I think around the 11th grade is where I actually had my first transformation. I dropped around 8 to 12 kgs for the first time in my life, got to see, an outline of my abdominal muscles, and I was so
mm,
excited to see all of that. And life changed from there on. I think it
mm,
was never the same after that. I was always this studious kid who was always good at studies, but never played any sport, was never very active. And then I suddenly moved to a place where I was being looked at as, someone who is extremely fit and someone who you need to ask. And that's back in the 11th
mm,
grade.
mm,
And fast forward 4 years from there, 3 years into my engineering degree. And that's where I had gotten a placement in hand. I had gotten two offers from different multinational companies. So safe to say I was very good at
mm,
software engineering. And that is because I was truly interested in a field like that. But at the same time, I felt like it was not giving me that same kind of purpose to sit in those interviews, and it just did not appeal to me as much.
mm,
I saw so many people trying the same exact thing in the room, and
mm,
um, that's where I think I remember seeing Yash's story. Now, this might seem like, Guneet was so materialistic, but Yash had posted like this transformation or this picture where he'd gifted his dad a car. And I think that was what I saw for FBA initially. And I know that, it's not always good to chase materialistic outcomes, but that
mm.
made me realize that it is possible in something like fitness. And I could never believe that, to be honest. Like, I'd always been told, just go to go to college, get a job, get that degree, you'll get a very good pay packet and all of that. And I put in my heart towards that, but I didn't feel like I was getting the outcome that I would deserve. And that's where I reached out to Yash for the first time. My fitness journey began because of a sport, but I think my business journey began because I truly felt like this is something that I could excel at. And I think I've looked back ever since. So I think that sums up a little bit of what childhood and fitness and business was for me.
That is awesome. So, bhai, I have two questions for you. First is, did you face any family pressure from your side? First for the military, then
Hmm.
for sticking to the job instead of doing your own business, especially a fitness business, which is generally seen as an unorthodox business.
A lot of it actually. And even though my family is very supportive, I would never say that they've
Mm,
stopped from doing anything. But
mm,
I had to sit them down and explain
mm,
multiple times as to how something might work out better
mm,
for me. For the
mm,
army, not so much because I cleared the
mm,
exam, then told them that I actually want to pursue something outside. I
mm,
don't want to put a cap to what I'm going
mm.
to do with my life, because that's something that you do with the army. You make a
Yes.
decision for life, and I
Yeah.
was ready to do that. And that's, I think, when I joined the job, even before I went to the job, I was making decent money. I was making more
Mm,
than what the job
mm,
was offering me,
mm,
to be honest. But I had to go. That was also number one. I wanted that experience. I felt like there are
mm,
so many
mm,
people fighting for something like that. I've gotten it. Why not give it a shot? And the family, of course, was also pressuring me to go and see it out for myself once. Once I was there for about a year, I knew inside, I internally knew for a
mm,
fact that this is not what I want to do. And what I was doing before this, the coaching business, which was still
mm,
going, is something I want
mm,
to everything into. It was hard to explain to the family. It
mm.
took 6 months of conveying them, actually showing them my bank statements. It actually
Ah,
came
mm, mm,
to
mm,
prove that it is possible, because I don't think they're
mm,
actually planning on telling me कि ये नहीं करना है. I think they're just worried and
mm.
they're concerned that am I making the right decision. So if I give them the facts, I think they understand. So yeah.
This is very interesting. Another question for you, follow question, bro. Do you think I mean, what was the importance of the bank statements in them actually saying yes? Or you think it was like a game changer?
I think it was a game changer primarily because they would think of me as a kid still,
Mm,
considering
mm,
I'm not too old. They would always
mm,
look at me with the
mm,
lens of a kid who's just come out of college,
mm,
and showing them what we had been doing consistently. And I showed them the statements before I even joined my
mm.
job, not to just show that itna kama raha hoon, just to prove that I'm telling you the truth, that I am not
Yes,
saying
I'm spending my time in the right direction, maybe.
I'm
Yes.
direction, because that's what would matter to them more than anything, that I am on the right path and I know what I'm doing. So yeah.
Another lesson for each and every one of you watching it, especially the young ones, that, Guys, prove it. You can do two things at once. This guy was making seven figures while having his full-time job and engineering before that. First, create a stack of proof, then your family would automatically support you. In my case, also, dad's business is still 10x of what I do right now. But literally, when there was proof of what I am doing is valuable to the world, and generally for men, that proof is in relation to amount of money you make. That's when family supported me, and right now I have full support. And in my own career also, I don't think I had support for. I had the support. They were like, keep on doing what you're doing, but office bhi aake baithna hai. So, but after 2.5 years, now it's like, I mean, I can do whatever I want to do because I think money is the pure form of proof because if you are getting money again and again in your bank, that means you're not doing it by luck. It's like you are building something meaningful for the world.
Exactly.
एक और क्वेश्चन भाई, ये थोड़ा ऑफ कॉन्टेक्स्ट है आपके लिए.
Wow.
Since you are out of the job now, uh, how much do you think AI would have replaced you if you were still in job? ये मेरा personal question, not related to this interview, but yeah.
Mm. So since I have this knack of basically if I'm doing something, I have to be really good at it. Like I
Hmm,
would push myself to that limit, and
hmm, hmm,
I was always interested in a lot of AI. So I feel like
hmm,
if I was in that situation, I would simply upskill myself. AI is not probably going to replace us. I would say it's more like a collaboration where
hmm,
we need to collaborate with it rather than compete with it. So we would be
hmm,
asked to deliver 2x, 3x of what we were doing,
hmm.
with the presence of AI instead of
Right.
replacing us. So I think it depends. If you're a skilled guy, I think
Hmm.
you're always going to have opportunities. So regardless of what it is.
That is great. So basically, skills. Again, you're like that, AI doesn't matter, it's the skills. And AI wouldn't replace engineers as long as they're upskilling.
Yes.
That is cool. Um, okay, so let's get into your journey. I have divided your journey into four parts, bro. First
Yeah.
phase, when you started a business from zero.
Hmm.
I would like to understand key what made you take the decision, because one thing which I still remember, we did not know each other, but your execution and stuff like that at the gym was like very good. The biomechanics was one of your strong suit at that time, even
Hmm.
before you started. So first is what made you decide? Yeah, I think we started your business in January
Yes.
or
Jan
one
20.
year,
Yeah.
Jan 22. हाँ, so what made you decide कि यार हाँ मैंने करना ही करना है ये. And another question for you, when you were starting out, did you think that you would get here? Or what was your biggest वो कि यार हाँ maximum मैं यहाँ पहुंच जाऊँ तो I'll be happy.
जब शुरू किया था, I had a introductory call. I remember I was like, if I can start making even 50,000 a month at some point, I would be extremely happy about it
Hmm,
because
hmm,
I had a placement in hand which was offering me 2x that, and that's after 3 years of
hmm,
it. So I
hmm,
was thinking of it logically that I've put in
hmm,
3 years, 4 years to make this much. यहाँ पे
hmm,
भी I put in that much time तो मेरे को उसका half मिल जाएगा. Like मतलब I was
hmm,
not
hmm.
expecting a
Yeah.
lot. Even though
Hmm,
I knew that it is possible. Like I'd seen your story, but I was not
hmm.
expecting a lot because I felt like I was just not good enough yet to even expect more.
Yes. Yes. So, first part was first 3 months you went from 0 to 47K. So, first 3 months में बताओ that what was your biggest what lesson would you want to give to everybody कि यार first phase में यहाँ से यहाँ आ रहे हो तो this is what you need to do. One or two tips or whatever. How many tips?
I think first, initially as a coach for me, or initial 3 months of business for me was just about building confidence and self-belief. Like more than anything, it was understanding that whatever I'm doing can add value to people's life because that's something that conviction is what allowed me to scale the business. And that is one thing that really, really mattered initially. And again, valuing my time because I was doing a lot of it for free. And I think a lot of people who are getting started in this industry will probably start coaching a couple of people for at a very low cost or for free of cost, whatever, to get their first couple of results. I'm not sure how you tell
Yes.
beginners to start today, but
Yes.
in that situation, I think that is also very derogatory for a lot of people when it comes to their self-belief because they just might not believe that they're good enough and never move up from there. I think the first 3 months,
Yes.
I was able to bring on four people who I actually helped. 3 months later, they were actually doing better. And that is why I was able to scale. And scale meant increasing pricing actually at that point. So,
Mm, mm.
I think that self-belief was the most
Yes.
crucial point initially when I started out.
Okay, so get your first five clients and get good results for them. and do it at any cost. My thought process is also the same because price is just a number. Today
Hmm.
I'm charging 10,000, tomorrow I can charge 50. It's just a number which I have to quote. In the beginning, it's about, building trust in self. कि भाई मैं
Hmm.
कर भी सकता हूँ. Because the day you have that trust in self, that would radiate in your content, that would radiate in your messaging, that would radiate on your sales calls, right? And confidence is everything because it's coming from deep within and you can't fake it. So first focus on your first five clients and just make sure that all five of them get great results, because the first thing which you would need is proof कि by posted results plus obviously reference from the clients. Okay, so that was your first phase. Next phase I've divided into 47K to 3 lakhs. आपके एग्जाम्स भी आते थे बीच में, हम we used to slow down our efforts also. In that phase, I remember our conversation also once we reached 3 lakhs, but 47,000 to 3 lakhs, do you think it's just repetition, or what else, what change did we make which helped us get to 3 lakh rupees?
I think till 3 lakhs पहुंचते a lot had changed. Like I feel like a lot of it still had to do with content back then, even though I was not really good at it. Like I was not
Hmm,
really
hmm,
doing extremely well on social media. I feel like communication was on point. I was also, I would say that I was kind of lucky to be in tier one circles when it came to social media also, because I was in a school which was,
hmm.
which had a lot of, I would say, rich kids, to put it right. I don't
Yes,
know how
yeah,
else to put
yeah,
it.
that's fine. Because kids need to take money from their parents, right? And parents don't understand unless they have extra money. So fair.
Exactly. So I was able to charge the right pricing or a higher ticket pricing, because at that point to even be charging 12 or 15,000 for 3 months
Hmm.
seemed very high ticket to me to have started just 3 months ago. That point, I don't know. At this point, thinking about it makes me realize that okay,
True.
that's also a tough thing to do, like charge
Yeah.
50,000.
Hmm.
But I think what was the question? I think I've gone off track a little bit.
Because the question is 47,000 to 3 lakhs, apart
Hmm.
from repetition and consistency.
Got
One thing which you have already mentioned is ki, you started charging higher. What else
it.
do you think helped you get to that number? Because a lot of people get stuck at 50,000, then maybe. Uh, if you want me to reframe the question, I can reframe it.
No, I think that makes, I think I can put it across in a simpler way, where I would say that first 3 months was building confidence in self, because I'd been doing this for 4 years. Like it is not that I just got into
Hmm.
fitness. For 4 years or 3.5 years at the very least, I'd been lifting weights, going to the gym, had hired a
Hmm.
coach. So
Hmm.
I knew a little bit about how everything works. First 3 months, I changed some lives. I increased my pricing by almost 2x. I see the
Hmm.
bumped up numbers.
Yes.
That's increased revenue for me. Secondly, I got a lot of referrals in, because those initial guys who had received the service were, they had been basically बहुत ज़्यादा over deliver किया था उनको. They
Hmm.
had
Hmm.
seen that they had paid a very small amount in comparison to what they received, and that made them tell their friends, and that grew my business initially, and then post that content. But a lot of close friends, a lot of circle related friends. There was not a
Hmm.
lot of strangers in my business within the first 6 months, I would say. After the first 6 months, I started getting in people I did not know, actually. That's where I,
Yes.
yeah.
So, from what I understand, two things helped us a lot. That you were already passionate about it when you started out. People around you kind of knew कि यार इस बंदे को पता होगा because he has been doing it in front of us even before that.
Yeah.
Second is obviously provide giving more than you take. I'm like very strong on that thought process wise because when you give more than you take, people are always happier. You would have lesser clients who are like getting sad because they were expecting this much and they are getting this much. And that is great. Around 3 lakh rupees. Once you reach 3 lakh rupees, I think we had a discussion because the discussion was you had just finished with your exams.
Hmm.
And I was like, why aren't you posting content? Your reply was that, bro, because my numbers have been good.
Hmm.
So I was like that, this is the wrong approach because right now we are not working on building our brand, right? We have built our brand to this level, but now why aren't we working on leveling this up? तो उस वाले पार्ट में मेरे को एक चीज ये समझ आई that in lot of times we set up a limitation on ourselves कि यार इतना हो रहा है तो सही है, why not?
Hmm. I think I had that. And moment I was touching, the first time I touched 3 lakhs was when I realized that, this can actually change my life. Like this is a very large sum of money that I've never seen sit in my account. And I think that's where I kind of realized that. this is a lot, and I put a limitation there. I think I was just wanting to kind of maintain that or just get close to that number again. And it became more about the number after that for a second. Like for a
Hmm.
couple of 4 months, I was more focused on the amount that was coming in, and
Hmm.
that's where I lost a little track in the middle as well.
Hmm.
But I think we went to Bali sometime after that only, like next
Bali was last year, last year Feb. It was 2023 Feb. I think
year.
by that time we had already
22
reached five and a
November.
half.
Yeah, 22 November was the best month. I remember it was
Hmm.
3.5 lakhs ke aspas, 22 November. And 23 Feb, yeah, whatever. I think first half of the year we
Hmm.
went to Bali. I think that's where we also had a conversation. तब मेरा placement भी pass आ गया था. I was about to
Hmm.
join
Hmm.
very soon. And वो conversation जो हमने बाली में करी थी, I think next to the pool, तब that's where I realized that maybe I'm actually limiting myself a little too much. And the people who were with me also told me this. कि
Hmm.
why are you even thinking about something like that? You have a lot of potential here. And I think just being in that
Yes.
community also kind of helped me realize that I can do better.
So guys, I'll give you context. So basically, we were in Bali. So Sare FBA members who had done great and stuff like that were in Bali. So we were chilling and partying. I'm not even sure. I think I was a little drunk also. I told Guneet one thing that bhai kuch bhi kar le, do your job. I don't care. Just don't leave your fitness business because I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with a lot of coaches, and it's rare to see people who are, coming from a place of passion more than anything else. Money is a part of it. Money is important because if you're putting your time and energy, you're putting in years of your life which would never come back. If you are doing that, obviously you would want something in return, right? So, money does come into play, and I never shy away from the fact that money is an important part of it. So that was my discussion with you, and I think I'm glad that that helped us. And because when we got back from Bali, that was February 2022, I guess, 22 or 23.
23, 23 last
Yes,
year.
2023 February, and we were like, I think after a couple of months, you messaged me that, okay, bro, I've reached 5.5 lakh rupees.
Hmm.
Uh, and after that, you went to Hyderabad. I'll get to that in a second. And so, would you agree that, going from maybe 3 to 5.5 lakh rupees was just a mental game and a consistency game more than anything else, more than anything tactical?
I would think so, yes. I would think it was more about focusing on the work. I was very result oriented. I started looking at, because also went from 0 to 3 so quick. That was a lot quicker than I would have
Hmm.
expected it to be. I
Hmm.
started expecting a little too much ki probably 6 or 12 bhi utni jaldi ho jayega without having
Hmm.
spent enough
Hmm.
time working on that
Hmm.
brand that we spoke about.
Hmm.
Because I think that takes time to build. And when those, I think, initial couple of months to get to 5, I did not change anything. I was just doing
Hmm.
more content more consistently, trying to make sure that the clients are getting the best, tracking everything, reaching out to people who are not doing so well in the journey and making sure they are. It's just going out of your way, making sure every input is 100%. I think that was all I did, and still
Yes.
at this point.
Yes. And we have had a lot of discussions in the past, maybe past 1 year, that whenever Guneet gets stuck, his main question is, "यार, service नहीं slack होनी चाहिए. बाकी कुछ slack हो जाए. I don't care about sales that much, but service is the main thing." Now we recently had a discussion in relation to sales, but mostly it's like, "यार, I just want to make sure everyone is joining the team is getting great results." A lot of times as coaches, it's easy for us to just focus on the number than rather than focusing on the actual thing. That means how many of your clients are transforming, how happy your clients are, because in the end, long term, I think this is my ninth year in business, and the biggest lesson I have learned is that it's a game of service, nothing else. Provide a great service, change the game for your clients, and their referrals and their energies would change the game for your business. And that is great. Another thing which I would want each and every one of you to notice, ki, guys, building a real business like Guneet's takes time, right? You just see a lot of times we just see maybe post on FBA page ki yahan se yahan aa gaya in 1 phase, 2 phase, 3 phase, but it has taken time. This is 2 years or 3 years,
3 years, 3 years completed, 8 years of training.
8 years of training in the background. After 2 years, he was making like 6, 7 lakh rupees. And after 2.5 years, he reached a seven-figure months, which, obviously is going up. Guys, keep in mind, Rome is not built in one day. And after that, We reached here. Another question for you, Guni. This is a random one. What is your why for making money? Because from how I look at it, I do not see your expenses to be monthly expenses to be very high. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
So my expenses are decent, I would say. Of course, not as high as they could be in sense
Hmm.
that how much I would be making, but
Hmm.
I think it has a lot to do with travel. It has a lot to do with convenience. Like I think money
Hmm.
is something that as long as it buys me a lot of convenience, I think that's good. Like I've shifted here. I was able to get a house close to my place, not buy the house yet, but like
Hmm.
get a house close to my place. It was not a problem. If I want to shift to some other city, move around anywhere, get to do that. I want to travel to a particular place. I
Hmm.
want to travel this weekend. I can afford to, and I
Hmm.
have done that. I've made a lot of impromptu travel plans in the past year. So I think that's primarily why I wanted to make money. I think it was convenience in being able to kind of not think twice before having to make a decision. Like money not being too big a factor in my decisions. I think that's one thing that I didn't want for it to happen.
Freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay, so let's talk about the interesting part, decision to leave the job. उसके बीच में मैं बता देता हूँ क्या हुआ. We got back from Bali. Within next 2 to 3 months, Guneet was at 5.5 lakh rupees. After that, the next jump was 7-8 lakh rupees, then 10 lakhs, then 12 lakhs. Guys, see how growth compounds. First year went from 0 to 3 lakh rupees consistently. Guys, also keep in mind, हम बहुत बार क्या होता है कि हम 3 lakhs देखते हैं. यार हाँ 3 lakhs पे आ गए. It's 3 lakhs every month coming back and back again and again. Real business, if you want to build a real business like Guneet's, that's gonna happen, right? When you build that principle, once you are like, doing it the right way, that means you're taking care of your service, you're not using tactics, you're building principles, and you are, most importantly, you're building skills, which Guneet has mastered, literally content game, sales game, messaging game, and getting results game. He has literally mastered in the last 1 year. And I think that has helped him get to the next level. Uh, so, Guneet, question for you, bro. When did the thought started coming in your mind कि यार अब job नहीं? I mean, what month was that? What were you making? Or was it number related, or it was like यार बस ठीक है, I've got the experience, I just want to get back home.
So I think it was day probably 14 or 15. I think we had like a 10-day initial onboarding in the company,
Hmm.
and 4 days post that, while
Hmm.
I got my first task in office,
Hmm.
I just realized that even though the company was paying me well, it was still
Hmm.
probably little less
I think
than
it was one of the top companies, right?
yes.
मुझे पता है, I don't have that much of knowledge, but yeah.
It was JP Morgan, and I was working there as a software engineer. So
Hmm.
I would definitely say it is one of the companies where a lot of engineers would dream to be, and I would still get a
Hmm.
lot of messages on LinkedIn that, how do we get
Hmm.
there as
Hmm.
students? And
Yes.
so I knew that, and still when I went there, just now I don't mean to put this in any derogatory sense for anyone
Hmm.
who's doing a job. I completely respect that. That was just my personal opinion that when I would get into the bus, I would just hang my ID card, get into the bus. I just got reminded of my day school again, like I'm just going to school again. And getting into the bus there and just entering the office and seeing thousands of people get in there. And while that community aspect is really good, I feel like something that really makes me feel good is standing out or being able
Hmm.
to do something different, and that is not an option that we would have at least for the first 7 8 years or even 10 years of our corporate career,
Hmm. Hmm.
because I noticed that my manager probably had that freedom. He had a little bit more, but it's taken him a decade to get there. And I felt
Hmm.
like I could just possibly build that freedom or build that life in the business I was doing. And it's again, that
Hmm.
feeling was coming because I had the luxury of, having a business already. Like
Hmm.
I was already doing it. Otherwise, if I
Hmm.
had no option, I don't think I would have felt that way either. So that's
Definitely, I also agree because you were already doing really well in your business. That's why you had a very open mind as to see कि यार okay, I don't want to do this long term. Another thing which I would like to mention here is that मैंने over the years क्या देखा है कि there are different kinds of personalities. There are a lot of personalities which are well suited for a job because business में irrespective of how good of a business you make, every morning you wake up and you think, or every morning or maybe every month, consciously or subconsciously you think यार पैसे आएंगे नहीं आएंगे. That's one part. Now at Guneet's level, it's like, yeah, would I be able to pay my team? Is my team growing? There are a lot of hundred things which happen. Plus, on the other spectrum, yes, it's harder. First, you need to take a step in the right direction. You have that fear of rejection and everything else. Job, mein, I think it's a little sorted in that way that, once you are in the interview and if you don't do a major fuck up, you are pretty sorted. But on the other spectrum, psychologically, business gives you stress.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of stress. So in any way, we don't mean to act like jobs are bad or something like that. Jobs are great. I have a lot of FBA members who are doing their job and business both. And that gets me to my next question. Bro, job bhi chal rahi thi. Business भी scale हो रहा था literally उस part पे we were able to get your business from 5.5 to 7 figures, 12 lakhs. उस वाले part पे how were you managing time? Because a lot of people think that they can't do two things at once.
So I think after I touched the first 12 lakh month is where workload increased a lot because that's where we
Hmm.
onboarded a lot of new clients and I realized the
Hmm.
importance of systems. But I wouldn't say it was easy because I had like at least 7 to 8 hour work days in office and
Hmm.
luckily mine was a hybrid model as well. So we were
Hmm.
working 2 days or 3 days in office and remaining were at home.
Hmm.
So I was able to manage, but I was working 10, 11 hours a day. I will be upfront
Hmm.
about that. It was
Hmm.
hectic. But again, I don't think 10, 11 is impossible. You've still got 8 hours to sleep and 5 hours to do
How old
multiple.
are you right now?
I'm 23 right now.
Huh, at 22, 23, it is like, whoa, but at my age, it becomes a little difficult. I would say that, if I'm like properly working for 8 hours, I'm
Yeah.
like literally done for the day. So, age advantage is there. And,
Yeah.
so what did your day look like? I mean, how were you
So,
structuring your day slash week?
so I've got a video up on this on my Instagram page also, a day in my life. But like, I think
Hmm.
that's
I watched
again,
that video.
yeah.
You were commuting in an auto, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I watched that. I watched that video. Uh,
I love traveling by
Okay,
auto.
so by the way, Guneet's IG, although we do it at the end of the interview, but since he has brought this up, guys, Guneet's content. He's one of the top content creators when it comes to someone who has built a real business plus next level at content. Matlab, I was literally before this, I was talking to him and I was like, bro, content wise, you are changing the game and the amount of effort and work you have put in, plus the results we have got as a result of that, it's like exceptional. So, bro, what's your Instagram ID?
It's Train with Guneet.
Train with Guneet. We'll add in a link. Uh,
Yeah. So what were
okay,
we talking?
so
I think.
yes, we were talking about content. We were talking about how you were managing your day.
Right. So I would generally wake up somewhere around 8, 9 a.m. It might not sound like it's that early, but 9 a.m. was generally the time I used to wake up. And my office day started at somewhere around 12. The reason was we had a US team, so it carried on
Hmm.
till late in the night. Usually we had calls even
Hmm.
at 10 p.m. sometimes. So it was a little scattered. I don't think the planning was always on point because there was a job that was running in the background which had to be
Hmm.
prioritized on timings. So timings was something that would fluctuate, I think, based on, how the day is going to be. But in simple words, 9 a.m. I would wake up. I think by 11 I would be in office. 11:30 I'd be in office after usually completing my workout in the morning. And 11:30 I would reach office. We'd start work around 12. Now I also had my phone the entire time. So while I was doing my office work, if you're going for lunch, and that's a very common culture in corporate ki lunch ke liye bhi jayenge, chai ke liye bhi jayenge, फिर dinner
Hmm.
team इकट्ठे जाएगी. So in
Hmm.
that time, I would always just use my phone. If I was even going to the washroom, I'm using my
Hmm.
phone.
Hmm.
I'm trying to reply to people there, reaching out, if there are any inquiries that need to be handled. So anything related to the phone was being handled in office also. I wouldn't take any calls in office. I wouldn't use my personal laptop in office, but I would take care of most of my business from my phone first half of the day. Around 6 p.m. I would leave office, so that doesn't complete my work day in office. It's like around 7 hours of work there, but we would come back and have calls. But when I would come back, I would have generally have, two laptops open. If there was, some message that my manager is sending me from office, then I have to respond to that. I'd keep that open. But I'm usually trying to, send out whatever plans or review videos, or if there's reviewing any check-ins, I'm doing all of that here. Sales was something that was not really affected because I was working with corporate professionals and they would be free after 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And that is something that really aligned well with my process because I would
Hmm.
come back by 6, come back, probably take a couple of sales calls, also do my office work if there is any pending. So it was scattered. I wouldn't say like I had blocks of time which were dedicated
Hmm.
to each and each. I was technically doing two things at a time for the most part, which was also a very big factor to why I left. But yeah, that's how I was managing my day.
That is cool. And guys, one lesson here is that if Guneet can get his business to seven figures, you can get a business to at least six figures while doing your job. Because the way he has explained it, it's while working and changing lives of hundreds of clients. So it's not necessarily that you need to work with 100 people. A lot of people, what I've seen is what they do is they start the fitness business, they get their 30 clients, and they're good with that. They just maintain that long term, which is great, right? So another thing which you need to understand is you can do both, but in some cases, like in Guneet's case, if he was doing a job long term, I would have not thought that it's the smartest thing, right? But a lot of times for a lot of people, they want safety and security. So then maybe choose both, right? So there's no right or wrong in this. You इसमें बहुत बार क्या होता है, इतनी इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरी सुन के हमें लगता है कि यार this is the way to go. Not necessarily. Same goes for a lot of times people are like, okay, college drop out कर देते हैं ये वो. My belief is that completed you can do both. मैंने भी personally अपना fitness business जब start किया, I was pursuing my law degree and pass भी हुआ हूँ literally. ऐसा नहीं है कि पीछे हो गया. So that is what. So and because a lot of times a lot of us actually waste a lot of time. I still end up wasting a lot of time. मतलब 2-3 hours मैं reel scroll करता हूँ every day, and I know that, right? And I do have three businesses running. I have responsibility of three clients, team of 15, and everything else. But just have a discussion with yourself. Have a one-on-one, sit in front of a mirror and ask yourself that are you actually giving your 100% to things, or you are actually wasting time? Most of us are actually wasting time, and that is what. So, Guneet, now, where are you in your life right now versus when you started, maybe started a fitness business or when you started working with us? What has changed?
So I think 3 years back, I was a student, engineering student who had a placement but wanted to, just start a business out and work in the fitness
Mm,
industry because that was something that I had a lot of background in. And life, I think, was pretty straightforward, just going to college. And when I started my business, probably spent 2-3 hours of working a day, and life was pretty relaxed. I think it was
mm,
also
mm,
right after lockdown had gotten lifted. So there were finally people who were
mm,
coming in. You've not met
mm,
friends so much. So life was very social, very different back then. Then I would divide this into three phases. Today, I'm in a place where I'm living very close to my home. At 23 years of age, I'm able to be close to my parents, which wouldn't have been possible if I was working in a different city altogether. I'm able to be close to my parents. I'm able to take trips whenever I want. I decide how my day functions at this point, whether it is work, whether it is, social events, whatever it is. I think I'm just a lot more in control. And I'm of course independent at this point where I've not taken money from home for a while at this point. So obviously 2 years so ho hi gaye before I took any money from that. But I think yeah, that's life. I think I'm pretty happy at this point, and I'm excited for what is coming in the near future, honestly.
23, you are literally too young right now. And one thing which I've seen with your case is that you're actually a very sorted person. I think we have had a discussion in relation to that. One thing which I appreciate a lot about you is that you are a very sorted person and you understand the things very easily, right? Because you generally don't have that ego when it comes to learning, which is like, which makes job for us as coaches like a cakewalk, to be honest. And that's one thing which otherwise also you seem like a very solid person in other areas of life also, although I don't have a lot of context, but seems that way. Okay, so bro, what were your biggest struggles when you began your fitness business or before you began your fitness business? Although you were working with us from day one, but was there anything specific you were like, apart from the things which we have already discussed, that, self-belief?
So I think before I started with FBA, I think one thing that I missed talking about is that the first 2 years of college, other than software engineering, I sold Amway products, Biosage
Hmm,
products, those pyramid
hmm,
network
hmm,
marketing schemes because I wanted to
hmm,
make some money on the side.
hmm,
I tried drop shipping. I set up Shopify stores. I ran Facebook ads on it. I even had done, I think, 5 months of trading, that is technical
hmm, hmm,
analysis, financial analysis,
hmm,
learned all of that, tried it in the market and failed at all
hmm,
of that. Had
hmm,
thrown a bunch of my pocket money into
hmm,
all of these side hustles as I
hmm,
would put it. So I always wanted to do something which was, making me money as well, because I feel like I just wanted to have that convenience while I was in college also. And I
Hmm.
was chasing that. And in the midst of it all, I think when I found FBA is where I realized that here is where I can actually provide value. And when I think about charging money also, it doesn't seem like I'm scamming someone. Like that felt like it with the network schemes. Like that was what it was, trying to call your friends and trying to sell them a 3,000 rupee
Hmm. Hmm.
something. Yeah, that's
That
one
is
part
great, bro. Yes.
that built a lot of skills that
Hmm.
transferred
Hmm.
to my business
Hmm.
being successful as well, because I was cold calling and had dealt with a little bit of rejection. So,
Wow. So this is very interesting because, a lot of times people start thinking about money much later, although that is totally fine because, yeah, at 23 also you're a kid.
hmm.
Right. Because, as we grow older, life changes a lot. And 23, I look at my 23, although I was working, I started working at 21. But at 23, it's like fine. But, if you're someone who's younger and watching this, start trying things, right? It's okay to fail. It doesn't matter. You can fail till 30 and still you'll be good. Right. And that is very interesting. And I'm 100% sure, bro, those are skills kind of translated. Plus, that also made you value your own business because if you get a first shot is a six, then you think that you are the best batsman in the world. So that might lead to overconfidence also. That way, it's very cool. So bro, another question for you. What one to two things you think you have specifically achieved while working with us at FBA? I mean, what are the two biggest things you would say ki yaar, ha, this made my journey worth?
So I think number one would be self-belief only. Like I'm coming back to self-belief again and again. The reason
Hmm.
behind that is simple, because if I had not had FBA, I wouldn't even know this is possible. And it's
Hmm.
like, if I have no idea that this is possible, the likelihood of me even trying to get it would have not been there. So it was number one that, and that this is possible, this is what I need to do. And number two, I think it came down to having exact guidelines, structures to what needs to be done. कंटेंट नहीं चल रहा है, इस टाइप के पीसेस डालो, आपका सेल्स कॉल में प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, दिस इज हाउ यू शुड अप्रोच इट. लाइक देयर इज अ सोल्यूशन फॉर द एग्जैक्ट प्रॉब्लम. लाइक इट्स नॉट लाइक अ कोर्स कि आपको ये सब करना है, इनमें से कुछ भी टूटा तो सब टूट जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है. लाइक कहीं पे
Hmm.
आपको ब्रेक दिख रहा है, आइडेंटिफाई इट, यू कैन गो हेड एंड सॉल्व इट. एंड दैट जस्ट मेड अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस टू हैव समवन टू आस्क those questions. And just I think that I like these two things, just having a plan of action, a structured approach, and the belief to do it. I think just these two things were really what helped.
So basically, principles, systems, and guidelines, along with self-belief that is mainly psychological. That I think another belief would be that even if I go wrong, even if you're not doing anything wrong, I have someone who can guide me because this person might have gone through the same thing. I think that also kind of helps. So by
Numbers
when, हाँ जी,
so sorry to cut you off, but like just the
नहीं
number,
नहीं नहीं
like जैसे आपने बोला कि like self belief comes from numbers only. Like मेरा conversion rate on sales is going higher than 50%. You need to
नहीं,
increase your prices. How would I have known that? I
हम्म,
had I
हम्म.
had no one to speak to about it, no one to ask. So I think that's even these small things made a lot of difference. So yeah.
Definitely, and one thing which I've seen is in a lot of businesses. I remember one of our Team FB members' business rounds. We strategized. Phase two tha, he's already at seven figures, and I just told him one thing, and we are just working on that one thing since last 4 months, and business has become crazier, right? My take was that you should not be doing that much of work. That's what I told him, and we are working on that. We are like literally building a team, and a lot of times it's just about that one thing also, that one thing at the right time which changes the game. So, bhai, one question for you, because when you joined FBA, you were a student, right? Day one, day zero of your business without making any money, you made an investment in us, right? So, what was the biggest? Did you have any thought which was in your mind which was holding you back from joining FBA back then?
Honestly speaking, no. I think that's just probably just me, but that's because after the first call I had and after I saw what was possible, because you already had some testimonials up on the page. Not a lot that time. I
Yes.
think it was
Hmm,
probably under 10 at that point. Now,
hmm,
though
hmm,
multiple. But so I looked at those case studies, I looked at those people's pages, I looked at how they were talking, how they were posting, how much experience they had, and I just did not compare myself. I just
Mm.
thought that I can get there. Like I believed that I can get there. And if I have the same mentors who've helped them, who are basically going to run me through, guidelines and going to help me out, I didn't think there was a chance that I would fail. The only chance that would make me fail would if I did not implement what I've been told, or if I did not put in enough effort. And I was sure of that from day one. So, and I think that also resonated too when I spoke to my dad about it.
Yeah.
He
Actually got the same thing from the previous interview also. It was Karthik. So he was 18 when he started working with us. Now he's making, at 19, he's making like 6, 7 lakh rupees. I think 6 lakh rupees a month. I also asked him that, what was your biggest thought before joining? And he was like, nothing. So then I was like, felt happy about myself that, okay, my marketing is good maybe. Or maybe, this is one side effect of building a principle-based business. And this is great. And bro, this shows in trust in process because I haven't seen a single case where there was like next level trust in process and we were not able to get results. The previous interview we had with Karthik, he took a while to get his first clients, right?
Mhm.
But now, literally, he's killing it. Thanks for the trust in process, bro.
Yeah.
So, we are at the my favorite part of the interview. First, I'll share from my perspective that why you are the number one coach in the space right now when it comes to working with working professionals, and why you are gonna stay that way. Then I'll ask for your top three tips. So I'll start. Also, number one thing which I always think I have always had with every conversation with you, not just right now, is that you are a passion first coach. You weren't like, okay, you can make money here, I'll start there. You are actually passionate about this industry, passionate about your own health, and your vibe has always been very genuine. This is something which can't be faked, and this is like this is something which I remember from our first conversation also. So that way, it's like has been exceptional. Second is that you are always ready to make sacrifices, and something which been seeing from day zero. That means maybe investing money, then investing money again and again. Now you have literally sacrificed your job, right? Because job comes with a lot of mental security. Okay, I'll get at least this much amount of money every month, irrespective of anything else. And you have been ready to learn from day zero. I haven't ever seen you because at such a young age like yours, it's very easy to grow a little and become egoistic. Ki, हाँ भाई मुझे I know everything. I was like that in middle because my dad used to give me a lot of advices, and after I made some money, I used to be like, yeah, how you don't know anything about online businesses and stuff like that. That's what I used to think in my head. But over the years, I realized that he was always right, and I was the dumb one on that aspect. So ये मैंने आप में कभी नहीं देखा. I've seen this with a lot of my clients also, and that is what. Next thing is, bro, ki you have always loved the process. I don't remember, I haven't ever seen you complain. I've seen you come up with problems, ki, yaar, ye chal raha hai, how to fix it. That's very obviously natural. That's a good thing. But I haven't seen you like, not hate any part of your business. And that makes me uh, think about why you are doing so well in content creation because, I have been, guilty of this. Of like, I've had a time couple of years back when I was like, yeah, I hate content creation now. Maybe I got
Mhm.
burned out creating like 1,800 posts, but then I was like, yeah, last year in October, I realized that, okay, I can't hate my way to this long term because this is something which is necessary. And next is, bro, or one way which I've seen is that, you have literally your focus levels are very high right now. You know what's working, and literally, you have been doubling down on that, right? Be it content, be it sales, be it service. That way, I haven't ever seen you focus on the shiny object कि यार ये चीज मैं ट्राई कर लूं, वो चीज ट्राई कर लूं, वो एड अच्छी लग रही है, ये कर लूं. वाईवीएस आपके बाकी क्लाइंट्स ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? मैंने कभी आपको आई हैवंट एवर सीन यू आस्क मी कि यार वो वाले क्लाइंट्स में भी हायर नंबर कर रहे हैं, उन्होंने क्या है? That way, focus wise, it's like great. And this is also something which I personally don't have. And that is what. Next time for your top three tips, bro. For other coaches who want to excel in this space, it can be for any coach at any stage, but each and everyone who's looking up to you because I do realize you must be getting a lot of DMs. Ki, yaar, Guneet, I want to make content like you. I want to build a business like yours. How can I do that at such a young age? So, what are your top three tips, bro?
Okay, so firstly, thanks for the pointers. I think that also kind of made me recognize because I feel like I sorry for that. I
No worries,
feel
no
like
worries.
I have this, in my mind, like an internal imposter that's always, telling me that you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing this. And but when you
Mm,
went these couple of things, they help me understand as to why I was able to get the success I did. Because I sometimes question that as well. Ki,
mm,
"Ko kyun mila itni jaldi?" Like everyone's putting in so much effort. But all right, I'll move on to the learning. So I think number one thing that I realized initially was that I have to focus on understanding what I'm truly good at, because that is something that people often delay in their businesses ki yaar,
mm, mm,
and that is something you will only recognize when you've tried everything. आपने sales भी
mm,
किया, आपने business
mm,
का, आपने मतलब obviously coaching तो आप delegate
mm,
नहीं कर रहे from the first day. You're working on that at the same time.
mm,
You've done content, you've spoken to
mm,
people. Now I realized that creating content or like speaking on camera was something that came very naturally to me after having, cold called, having done a lot of theater. I think number one for me that actually gave me a big boost was understanding what I'm good at and just doubling down on that, making sure that I am spending as much time as possible on that. That was number one, I think. And I think that goes with the fact that I would make this point to, let's say, point two, that niche is very, very important. And I think we've spent a lot of time back and forth in the past, figuring out your niche. Like,
mm,
and I've heard this statement, figuring out your niche, so many times from you only. So
mm,
that's, I think, something that helped me because I would always look for a niche. I was a student who was trying to
mm,
make working professionals my clientele. I was a student
mm,
trying to make business owners my clientele, or a particular kind of people my clientele. I was not leading their lives. I did not have
mm,
any understanding of their challenges,
mm,
their struggles. So when I lived that niche life, went to Hyderabad, shifted to a new city, faced the struggles those
mm,
working employees there are facing, I think that gave me more confidence, and that is also what helped scale my business higher. So niche would be important, I feel. And lastly, if there is something that today keeps me alive or keeps me, not alive, I would say alive in the business, say, this is
yes.
something you really want to continue doing, because it's very
Mm,
easy to get complacent. And I think
mm,
that's taken me time to
mm,
realize that business or building a brand is just about surviving long enough. It's about staying in the game, showing up regularly. You've been doing this for 9 years, so it'll be unfair to compare, anyone's journey in the same way. I've been doing this 3 years. Why am I not seeing results like that guy did, or
mm,
why I'm not
mm,
seeing this? You look at things, you realize that the longer you are in the game, the more credibility compounds, and that is also going to have a big effect on your business. So just keep showing up and focus on the work, focus on the inputs. Outputs are sometimes not always in your control. 100% inputs are in your control. Just make sure you're doing that and go to bed happy as long as you've done
mm.
that. That's something that would sum up the points for me at this point.
That is great. Okay, so number one was knowing what you're good at and focusing. Plus, in your case, what I've seen is ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको मैंने कभी ये कहते हुए नहीं सुना कि यार आई एम नॉट गुड एट दिस आई अवॉइड दिस. लॉट ऑफ पीपल व्हाट दे डू इज दे जस्ट फोकस ऑन वन थिंग. मैंने बहुत सारे गुड कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स को देखा दैट दे आर ग्रेट कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स, दे नो हाउ टू गेट वायरल, बट एज कोचेस दे डोंट पुट इन द वर्क. As
Yeah.
coaches, they are not good. They are not ready to work on their maybe conversion process. So that's one part. Second, niche. And if your niche can be your reality. So Guneet ne hack kiya us way ko ki he made it his reality. That is the biggest advantage. Plus, having your own differentiator. Say Guneet ke case mein, it's literally his personality प्लस हिज नीश, हिज एक्सपीरियंसेस, हिज एक्सपर्टीज, प्लस हिज कंटेंट. अब इस चीज को कोई कॉपी नहीं कर सकता. लिटरली दिस कांट बी कॉपीड. कल मैं भी उठ के सोचूं भाई मैंने ऐसा ब्रांड, आई कांट डू दैट. राइट, सो दैट वे we have been able to work on his differentiator. So Guneet has been able to work on his differentiator, and अब वो इतना हो गया कि the brand has compounded like he mentioned, and the most important pointer was that focus on inputs more than outputs because actions always dictate results.
Yes.
Guneet, so next question for you is, although we had a discussion in relation to this recently, what is our next goal? And
Okay.
next goal, and if you want to mention the digital nomad thing,
Yeah.
you are,
So
yes.
yeah, so my goal for this year, I think that goal is probably already met. Like that's going to happen regardless of
Mm,
anything. I plan to shift to Thailand for a couple of months or just move around, live in different areas. Ever since I've been home, it's been very nice. But it also helps me chase a little discomfort at times, and it puts me in a better mindset whenever I'm doing something like that. So I think that's one thing. But major target for this year, I think, is to work on two things. Is number one, make systems in my business so solid that I am at a little more peace with things. I know
Mm,
that, even if I am missing from uh, the workplace for a couple of days, nothing is going to go wrong. Everything is going to move smooth. Not that I plan to get out of it. I just want to make sure that there is
mm.
a system that's running. So that's number one goal for this year, is to systemize things. And number two is just focus on what really worked really well for me. That is social media, that is content. Just double down on that. अभी Instagram ही था, अभी YouTube भी
Mm,
plan कर रहा हूँ कि I'll just basically
mm.
continue posting more videos there. And of course, just I think it's primarily this year is social media content, double down and build systems in the back to handle the flow for that. I think those are two things that I have in mind for this year primarily. So yeah.
That is great. And one thing is that, this month would be our biggest month again, since we had a discussion before this. And I'll talk about it once we reach that number. And it's, 12 lakhs we have already hit. We are on to the next thing, since it's January. Uh, Another thing is that, guys, special focus on those who are good content creators already, or those who have that naturally, or those who have built the skill. Guys, special focus on, he's doubling down on the content front, but his system, backend system is so strong that even if he's working with 2x the clients from tomorrow, everyone would be happy. So that way, you need to build that system also, because I've seen a lot of good content creators miss that, right? And in the end, they're like, okay, why am I not able to make this much money even if I have the views? That's because generally brand direction and the backend, because backend पे लोग focus नहीं करते. So focus on what you're good at, plus what you need to improvise, because in the end, business is all about providing value to your clients. So, Guneet, we are almost at the end of the interview, and this has been like super inspirational for me. So, bro, this is for this is my marketing question. Those who have watched our content at FBA or an ad and are skeptical and haven't worked with us, or haven't pulled the trigger yet of joining FBA, they are thinking, ki, okay, yaar, FBA karna hai, I'm not sure. Do you have a message for them?
I would say, okay, I think if they've seen your ad and if they have a limitation, I think the limitation is not going to be solved by them looking at the pages, testimonials more, or going through anything. It'll only get solved if you actually book in a call and ask how things work and get a better understanding of that. So if you're limiting yourself on joining, I think first have a call with the team, see how things work. But either way, if you're thinking after having that call, if you're thinking whether or not to join, I think it just comes down to two things: whether you trust yourself to put in the work, or you want it bad enough. Like, I think these are two things that you need to ask yourself. If you really want it and you know that you can put in the work, I don't think there is anything to think about. I think those are the only two things that actually matter when you are trying to go for something like this. And trusting yourself is more important than anything else. No mentor can help you if you have no belief that you can get it done. So I think that's the limiting factor for most.
That is great. And those who are just starting out and those who don't have the funds right now, simply YouTube channel check out karo ye. Also, look at coaches like Guneet. Look at their Instagram. You'll learn 100 things from there also. ऐसा नहीं है कि FBA join करने से business grow होगा. This YouTube channel literally has, I've covered all systems of your fitness business which you can, think of in depth. इतनी depth में 40 minutes की video that, that can also change the game. But if you're interested, uh, let's book a call. And a lot of times we say no to our prospects because for me vibes matter more than anything else. With Guneet, we have been working on and off for like 3 years together, and we'll be working together for the next 5, 10 years, decade. So I'm always looking for a partnership more than anything else. uh, because again, growing a real business is a long-term game, not even a short-term game. Yes, you start seeing results short-term, but real businesses are always a work in process. And bro, this was super inspirational for me. A lot of things I didn't know, that you had tried a lot of things, you still did not give up. Plus, bro, I feel proud to be a part of your journey. Literally, that's what I noted you in the morning, because when I was just preparing the questions, I felt so happy about the fact that you want some people to win, and when they're winning, it's like a game changer. And Guneet,
Thank
anything else you would like to add, bro?
I think that that's just about it. I know that this is a podcast for me, but I have a question in case there are other creators watching. So I personally don't do a lot of brand collaborations because I feel like that ruins my credibility or, my image. I want to know your opinion on that probably just before we end, if you had 2 lines to say on it.
Okay, so I'll give you my example. And again, there are two answers for this, which and both of them are right. One part is that you are, especially in your case, you are providing a lot of time. You are putting in a lot of time building your brand. Plus, you're giving a lot of time providing free value to others. I mean, some of your tips are, bro, exceptional. Lat pull down, ye wo, right? Some of my favorite videos. That way, you're already providing value to people. So that one part is, even if you do brand collabs, that's not an issue because these people these days earning a follow is a big deal because there are hundreds of coaches. Back in the day when you started out, nahi the itne coaches. Now there are hundreds of coaches, right? First thing which you need to understand is that people have a lot of choices. They'll unfollow, right? They would have unfollowed if they were not getting value. So general rule is if you're providing this much of value, this much of ask, you can do. That's one aspect. Second thing is, bro, I never look at brand deals as a permanent thing. If some company is doing a deal with you for a year, fulfill it, then it's fine. And plus, obviously the common sense wali cheez is that you trust the company. Then yes, but one by one, pe na, I don't look at it in terms of longevity. Last year, I got a brand deal from a company who was ready to pay me 15 lakhs every month. एक post करना था, दो post करने थे, एक story. That's not bad. 1.8 crore rupees, I think 1.5, 1.8 crore rupees, better all profit, 100% profit was like
Exactly.
game changer because this year, if I want to add 1.8 crore rupees of profit, that's my whole year's work, to be honest. इस साल मेरे को अगर पूरे साल में एंड में गोल करूंगा, हाँ, अगर 2 crore profit ऐड हो जाता है, वन. That perspective was there, but my other perspective was, would this happen with me long term?
Hmm.
Do I value this money? And when I said no to that brand, my thought process was I don't value this. But मेरा एक और भी reason है. मेरा एक reason ये है कि यार, if I'm not associated with any brand for this long, because आज तक मैंने सिर्फ एक brand के साथ ही किया काम, that too for a very short period of time. I also have credibility in the way that one of the doors would be open for me to start my own brand.
Absolutely.
That's one part. और current मुझे benefit क्या लगता है that my clients know that they are paying me a lot of money,
Hmm.
but I'm not earning from them in any way. मुझे कोई percentage नहीं मिल रही है. So I
Hmm.
can speak very openly with my clients कि यार ये brand मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, ये नहीं लग रहा, this is what I'm using. So that provides me with a lot of freedom as a coach,
Hmm.
right? वरना थोड़ा वो हो जाता है तो number one thing I'm doing this, not taking up uh, these deals because because number one reason is I don't look at myself as a content creator. I look at
Hmm.
myself as an entrepreneur who creates content, provides value to the world. That's one aspect. The second aspect is that I just somehow don't want to be somehow मेरे को अंदर एक थोड़ा सा लगता है that I'll be unfair with my clients if I do this. But to be honest, when I was working with the brand, मैं अपने clients को clearly मैंने बताया हुआ था कि यार this is the brand, this is what I'm personally using. It's a very good brand and I'm associated with that, then that means I get a percentage. So if you want to use this code, you can, or you can skip. So that way also, if you are upfront, then also it's not unfair. So थोड़ा सा gray area में आ जाता है. So
Hmm.
in your case, I would say it depends on the deal, bro.
Yeah. Like in my case, I'm actually personally not working with the brand just for money. Like मेरे को तो वही है because I've always had a lot of trouble with certain supplements. These guys
Hmm,
actually came in and solved that for me. So I
hmm,
struck up a deal. I reached out to them. They didn't reach out
hmm.
to me. I told them that I'm
Okay.
recommending your
Yes.
product.
Hmm,
So we can come up with a deal for that. So
hmm.
how things started out, and I don't think it's for the money, but again, I would keep that in mind because when it comes to looking at myself, even today, even though everyone would say that Guneet, you've got great content, I would still want myself to be looked at as a coach, moreover, and an entrepreneur, moreover, than a content creator or an influencer for that perspective.
That way, bro, you have dialed it in, to be honest. I don't look at you as a content creator. I look at you as an exceptional entrepreneur who's changing lives. And content is one of the vehicles which you have mastered, which you are still mastering, which you are still improving. So again, you can let me know about the deal in our DMs. We can have another call. And if it is good enough, I'll let you know. If it's not, because a lot of times we end up undervaluing ourselves. So that is also one aspect which we can discuss.
Yep, sounds good. Sounds good.
So thank you so much for your time. And everyone who's watching this, I'm pretty sure you're, inspired by Guneesh's journey. Train with Guneet is the Instagram ID. YouTube, since Guneet just mentioned YouTube, we'll also add in the YouTube. Just start following him and start looking at what he's doing, because he is doing 99% of the things he might be doing right now would be right things. Right. And 1% भी मैंने सिर्फ इसलिए scope कर रहा है because I understand after being in business for 8, 9 years that there's always scope for improvement. So Guneet has been killing it, and hope this inspired each and every one of you. This inspired me a lot because I always used to think that Guneet is 26 now, but today in the morning I realized he's still 23, right? So changing the game, bro. Keep it up, and you are at the top right now. I want you to stay at the top and keep on rising. I'm super proud of you, Vardhan.
Thanks, Yash. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And guys, those who are watching it, check out our YouTube channel, free resources, and if you want to book a call, you can. And that is all.